Hello friends, it's Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. And in this episode, we are talking about moving on. It is time to move on. Now, years ago, I started off in my first business or career was in real estate. I was a real estate agent at the age of 24 in 2001, and I sold real estate for 6.5 years. And I found myself, even during those times of selling real estate, teaching classes to real estate agents because I loved teaching. I loved inspiring people. Even before that, I remember in college, I would teach at church, right? I would do different types of, I would mentor people. There was something in my soul that wanted to teach, help, coach, guide, inspire people and souls. So as I got into real estate in my first career, trying to find myself, I found myself teaching. And then I ran a real estate company for 5 years. And in that season of life, I found myself teaching souls, right? About, in that case, real estate. But what started to happen was that I started to feel like the conversation I was having in my marketing and in the things I was teaching, they weren't in alignment with the real conversation I wanted to have with the world. There was something, real estate wasn't it for me. I have huge respect for the real estate industry. I don't, side note, I don't ever think technology will fully take place of a real estate agent because of all the things that go into a real estate transaction, all the things you can't foresee. There's just way too much. But anyway, that's a side note. What I noticed about real estate was like, the industry is very transactional in ways, right? Like we deal with escrows and 30 to 45 day closings and contingencies and contract, all that stuff. And that wasn't what I wanted to be doing with my life. I want to inspire humans, people, to connect to their soul and what they really are here to do in their 80 to 100 years on this planet. And so I just felt the disconnect, right? And I tried to stay in it, and I left the CEO role of the company in 2011. I started my own consulting company in 2011. And for 5 or 6 years, my primary focus was coaching real estate agents. But in those 5 to 6 years, it was like, I loved my clients. I loved helping them. I always found myself, though, gravitating back to wanting to get to the deeper issues and not the, here's how you produce a lead, right? Because people get into business to make an impact. And I was feeling dragged down by the conversation of how do I get a lead? And so I started to notice, like, I want to have a different conversation with the world. My soul was nudging me to move on. And the reason I felt disconnected from my work, the reason my work didn't light me up, was because my soul was ready for what was next. There was a season in my life where that was appropriate. Like my soul was like, this is great, let's do this. And then there was a moment when it didn't count anymore. It wasn't enough anymore. My soul had been prepared. My personality, moreover, had been prepared for what my soul always wanted to do, which was to bring perspective and hope and encouragement to people in business to begin to live out their life's work. And so for you, if you feel any disconnect in your marketing message, if you feel any disconnect in the work you do, chances are your soul wants to move on. It's time to move on. Some of you are still having old conversations with old audiences, and your soul is hungry for the next thing, for what's new. And not new because it's new, not new because it's shiny, but what's next because it's your soul's mission. It's why you're here. It's your important work in the world. And some of you, when you're stuck in that space of having old conversations with old audiences, some of the reasons, and you might even feel a prompting to move on, but the reason you don't is because you're afraid. You're scared. How do I take the next step into something new? Like, I'm halfway through my life. I don't want, like, what if this doesn't go well? There's a lot of reasons why we don't take the step into what our soul is calling us to do. 2 years ago, I started a marketing agency, just short of 2 years ago. About 2 years ago this time, I was feeling the prompting of like, you need to start a marketing agency. I didn't want to start a marketing agency. There's so many moving parts. There's more people to manage and more stuff. Like, there's all this stuff to do. But I just kept getting the nudge. This is the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do. And I had to face the fears of what it would require of me, how, like, the loss of freedom, right? Because coaching is pretty cushy, right? There's not a lot of overhead. You make your own hours. Like, it's all pretty good. But an agency, there's a lot more to that. And not just an agency, but my life's work. Beyond the agency was my life's work. If you think an agency requires a lot, just think about your life's work. But the difference between resisting the agency and doing it because it was right and embracing my life's work was that my life's work actually breathes life into me. It's what my soul is here for. And so some of you are stuck looking at the cost of starting a new conversation, of leading a new conversation in the world. And you're afraid to take that step because you're looking at the cost rather than looking at and embracing what it is that your soul is actually calling you to do. And that kind of work actually fills you up. That kind of work, you actually go to bed at night with your head on your pillow going, God, that was a great day. This, gang, this is what I feel like your soul is calling you to do. So many of us in this tribe, the rest of us, are hungry for work that is meaningful, that makes a difference, that makes an impact. And some of you are stuck in old patterns that you feel don't make the impact you're really here to make. And you are afraid to step out and try something new. Not just new because it's shiny, remember? New because it's what's next. It's new from what the old pattern is and the old audience is. But it's what's next for you and your soul because it's your life's work. So, as you think about where you're at right now, if you're in this space of feeling this future pull, this pulling of wanting something more meaningful, something that has more impact, if you're feeling dragged down right now by the lower level of conversations or the that your heart's just not in it anymore, then you may be at this place, right? You may be at this place where you're ready for what's next. And if that's you, I invite you to a great place to start is my free course, Marketing for the Rest of the Course, because it actually starts to open your mind to how do you lead a conversation in the world? How do you lead and what is your conversation to lead in the world? So if you'd like to start that course, you can go to groundswellmethod.com, groundswellmethod.com. And you can start it today. It's 90 minutes, just 5 videos, and you'll complete it quickly. So thanks for hanging out with me in this episode. Listen, my goal, my intention, my heart is that there is a groundswell in this world of people who begin to embrace their important work in the world. And that includes you. So go start that free course. Go to groundswellmethod.com. And I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. Good night.